housing is the most sensitive issue. If there's any thought that you might refurbish a house or rebuild a house, then obviously people are very concerned about it. But I think the estate you're talking about, the Silchester estate, we're at a very early stage of talking to residents about various options, either for refurbishing the estate or demolishing it and rebuilding it, as we've done with one or two other estates in North Kensington. The crucial point to bear in mind is that anybody who lives there will have the opportunity to come back to an improved house in that same estate, in that same location. And likewise, if they bought their flat and they're a leaseholder, they will have an attractive offer on a new property in the new development. So when people say the social cleansing, which is a very an allegation which is very often thrown around, that absolutely isn't the case. The council's given a firm undertaking, and we agreed a council motion earlier this year that said anybody who's in danger of seeing their house or their estate redeveloped will come back to an improved property in the same location. So we don't want to break up neighbourhoods or communities, but we do sometimes need to improve the quality of the housing. It's very often expensive to maintain and not very good quality to start with. So if we can rebuild it or improve it in some way, then the council's keen to do that. Trying to get a better quality building, a better quality home, because some of the homes that were built after the war, very high-rise buildings or in cheap buildings, they're expensive to maintain. The energy, the heating isn't good, the windows aren't good. So sometimes, if you can't refurbish an estate, it makes sense to say, all right, well, perhaps we should start again and have a better quality design. Well, there's a lot of checks and balances in local government across the UK. So every decision that the Cabinet takes is carefully scrutinised by, we have 5 separate scrutiny committees, so they can look at the decisions that have been made and all the paperwork that underpins those decisions. We have an Audit and Transparency Committee which will look at decisions, will look at financing, will make sure that the Council has followed the correct laws and done everything openly and honestly and in line with legislation. So I think there are quite a lot of checks to make sure that there isn't fraud and there isn't corruption, but we're always very keen to be absolutely sure that we're looking out for that.
And if something arises, you deal with it. How do you deal with it?
Well, it might be that there's a full investigation. There might be a reference to the police if there's a degree of corruption. There are all sorts of laws and checks and balances which would stop anybody doing anything that was corrupt. And in fact, if it was a politician that was involved, their political career would come to an end. If it was an official of the council, then they would be likely to lose their job. So decisions have to be made openly and in the full gaze of public scrutiny.